What is going on, guys? It's your boy Chris here. I promised this video yesterday, but I had some things come up that I had to take care of, so I couldn't do it. But here it is. So, I have two things I'm going to touch on today. The first one is going to be entertainment related. Going to talk about all these movies that are coming out that are currently not doing so great in Hollywood. I'm going to touch on that, and then I'm going to touch on some baseball news, in particular about my hometown team, your American League Division, Eastern Division, first place Baltimore Orioles. I'm going to talk about why they're where they are and why Tampa Bay seems to have fallen off after their ridiculously hot start. But I'm going to touch on that for that as well, because you can't talk about the Orioles coming up to first place without talking about what happened in Tampa Bay. So, first things first, the big question everybody has about all these big blockbuster movies that have been coming out, or expected blockbusters, is why are they all bombing? There are a couple of reasons for that. There are a couple of big ones. The biggest reason, well, no, I'm going to go the opposite way. The one reason that these movies aren't doing so great is we are in a world of sequels and remakes. The fact that a lot of these movies are sequels to other movies that they've been doing to death, or remakes, is having an adverse effect on people coming to the theaters. The reason being, there's only so much you can do in a movie sequel to top what you did in the previous film or the franchise. You can bring in new actors, you can up the stakes, somehow bigger explosions, bigger stunts, whatever. But at some point, you're gonna run the well dry a little bit, and you kind of gotta go do something else. So that's the first factor. The second factor is money. A lot of people don't have the disposable income that they had coming out of the pandemic. Okay? We just don't. Like, people are still recovering, getting their lives back together. So a lot of people lost their jobs because of the pandemic. A lot of people had to find new work. I went through it with a couple of jobs I had. Like, one job, I literally lost my job because of the pandemic. They let a bunch of us go because they went down to a skeleton crew. So I lost that particular job. So it happens. It could happen still, but it's a thing that's happening to where people are still coming out of that. And they don't have the disposable income to go to the movies like they did before. I can tell you flat out, I only went to a couple of movies last year. In 2020, the only movie I saw, or 2021, the only movie I saw in theaters was Spider-Man No Way Home. Last year, I saw Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I saw, what else did we go see last year? Thor Love and Thunder. And that was pretty much it. Like, we didn't go see anything else last year, I don't believe. And then this year, the only movie I've seen in theaters is Spider-Man No Way Home. Everything else I waited for, and this is the third factor in all these movies bombing. And this is the biggest one. Streaming has changed the game. Okay? So, what I say by that, a lot of people know these movies are coming to streaming sooner than later. So, they're just waiting for it to hit, like HBO for Max or Peacock or whatever, or Peacock or Disney Plus or Hulu or whatever, Prime or whatever. They're not, or Netflix. They're not going to see these movies in theaters because They know they can wait a couple of months and it'll be on streaming. So they're not going anymore like they used to. Before you had to wait like a year for a movie to hit streaming. Now it's 2-3 months and it's there. And correction, I saw Terrifier 2 in theaters last year. So I saw like 3 or 4 movies. Like I had to go to that one by myself and I forgot about it. I went to go see it because nobody went with me because like it's a horror film and or a slasher movie, no one was gonna go but me. So I'm the only one that went to go see that in my household. But everything else, it was kind of everybody went together. So that's kind of what happened. But streaming has really changed the game on everything. And that kind of started on during COVID when movies were coming out day and date with the theaters. That's where it started. Wonder Woman 1984, the Suicide Squad, Godzilla vs. Kong. All these movies didn't do great in theaters because they came out day and date in the theater. The Matrix didn't do well in the bombed and deserves to because it wasn't good, but it bombed, quote unquote, because it came out day and date on HBO Max. You know, HBO Max kind of changed everything. Black Widow didn't do great because it came out on streaming. Oh, wait, The Eternals. I saw Eternals in the theater too. I forgot about that one. So I saw Eternals. That's 4 movies I saw in theaters. Whatever. It doesn't matter. The point is I didn't go like I went in the past to see movies in theaters because I knew I could wait for it to hit whatever streaming service. And that's kind of the biggest reason why these movies are bombing now. That's why Indiana Jones isn't doing so great. That's why The Flash didn't do so great. Among other things, and a lot of these movies just aren't. I mean, but streaming's the biggest reason why these movies are bombing. It's because people are waiting for it to hit streaming. Because they can. And you have all these studios who are kind of trying to figure out what to do about it now, but it's that Pandora's box has already been opened and you can't put the creature back in. It's like the lamentation, the puzzle box from Hellraiser. The box. You opened it, we came. And that's what happened. You open the box, streaming, they open the box to streaming. They changed this landscape of movies and everything. That's part of why the Hollywood strike is happening right now, is because of the royalties due to streaming. Because actors want to get the proper credit, so do the writers, for their work on streaming. Because there isn't anything set up to take care of that. So people want to get their proper, payment for their work on streaming. And then there's the whole AI thing, and that's why all that's happening right now. And why Hollywood is pretty much shut down. So that's kind of where things are with Hollywood, and it's not going to get better. Movies are not going to do what they were expecting to do. So if Hollywood really wants to fix their shit, you may want to start going a little bit more bare bones with these movies and stop spending millions and millions of dollars on like production. Doesn't mean you got to make them cheap looking as shit like the Flash did. But you need to at least make it look. You need to make it look good, but you need to not spend like hundreds of millions of dollars on fucking TV shows and fucking movies when you're not going to get the return you got in the past. So there's your problem. There's the thing, and that's what's going to happen. So that's that. Now on to happier subjects, or something more happy for me at least, being a lifelong Baltimore Orioles fan. The Baltimore Orioles, for the first time since 2016, are in first place. Solely in first place in the American League East. The last time that happened was after the post-All-Star break was July 16th, 2016. Now, a lot of people are kind of like, where the fuck did this come from? Weren't they awful a couple years ago? Yes, they were. They were atrocious. They were one of the worst teams in baseball for about 5 years. They stunk. And then last year happened. In the past 70 series that they've played, they have not been swept by any team that they've played. That alone is a ridiculous accomplishment. It's actually a record. Think about that. If you're a baseball fan and you watch this channel, they go 70 straight series in baseball without getting swept by any team you've played over that's ridiculous. The pitching has been better than expected, given that their best pitcher has been out all year. There are two guys that are the bullpen they were expected to rely on, and Michael Givens and Dylan Tate. Dylan Tate hadn't pitched all year, and Michael Givens came back and then got hurt again. John Means is recovering from Tommy John. He's supposed to be back in September. Their center fielder, the man you can't escape, Cedric Mullins, has been on the disabled list twice already, prompting the signing of Aaron Hicks, who had just gotten released from by the Yankees. Boy, I bet they could use his ass right now. And that's another thing I'm going to touch on a little bit because it's just fun. So the current standings in the American League East. Orioles are in first place. Tampa Bay is a game back. Tampa Bay had been in first place up until 2 days ago. The Orioles beat the Dodgers, and they took a statistical percentage point lead ahead of Tampa Bay. They were like a running record, or the second best record in baseball, and the best record in the American League with a .611 winning percentage. Tampa Bay is at .608. So, like, it's not like Tampa Bay is not like they're playing like shit. Toronto's in third, Boston's in fourth, and the Yankees are in last place. Now, a lot of people are asking, Tampa Bay started out 30-9. What the fuck happened? Well, what happened is from that 30-9 start, they've gone on to a record of 30-31. So they played one game under 500. In that time, the Orioles have basically caught on fire. They started slowly catching up, and they just kept beating everybody in front of them. They would maybe lose a game here or there, but they were winning pretty much every series they were playing. 2 out of 3 here, 3 out of 4 there, 2 out of 4. You know, they were just winning, and they kept winning. And they have a mix of young guys and veteran talent who know what the fuck to do. You know, you've got guys like Adam Frazier, who's been in a playoff run. You've got Gibbons, the starting pitcher, Gibbons, who's been in multiple playoff runs, including Kyle Gibson, who's been in playoff runs up in Philly. He was in the playoffs last year. He's been the anchor for a young staff. He's been that guy who if they've needed something, he's been there to answer it. And he's been an anchor for the staff. He's been a guy who has led this staff. His numbers may not always reflect it, but he has led the staff just by being that veteran presence. You've got a bullpen where the back end, you've got 2 guys that came out of nowhere in Felix Bautista and Yenier Cano, who in the eighth and ninth inning, if you're down, it's over. You've got the best catcher in baseball right now in Adley Rutschman. You've got a potential Rookie of the Year candidate in Gunnar Henderson at third and short, can play both. You've got Jordan Westberg. You've got Ryan O'Hearn, who they got from Kansas City out of nowhere. You got Aaron Hicks, who they picked up during the first couple months of the season from after he got dropped by the Yankees. You got Austin Hayes playing at an all-star clip. You've got the two guys in the bullpen. You've got a guy like Cole Irvin, who they got in the trade for their fifth or sixth best infield prospect, who has been nothing but a consummate professional. He struggled when he first got here, but he got demoted. He worked his ass off. He came back up, and he's been nothing but good since. Not only that, Cole Irvin has been a damn good person in the community here in Baltimore. Same thing with Kyle Gibson. Those two guys have been nothing but good in the community, and they just got here, and you love to see that. Because it's a tradition of guys who were good in this community, in the city, giving back to the community in Baltimore. When Chris Davis was here, he gave a shit ton to the Children's Hospital here. Him and his wife both. People shit on him for how his career ended, but that guy was a very important part of this ball club when they had their run a couple years ago with Adam Jones and Manny Machado and Chris Tillman and all those guys. He was very important to all that. And that shouldn't be forgotten. But those guys, Adam Jones and Manny Machado, they did a lot in the community when they were here. And it's good to see that continue with the players they have now. Irvin's been big with that. And that's been great to see. And he came out the other day and pitched 4 innings of relief and kept us in a game where we could have came back and won it. We fell short, but he gave us everything he had out of the bullpen. And he hasn't complained about his role at all. He just wants to win. And that's a competitor. And that's what you love to see out of our guys. And that's the other thing. The reason why we're where we are right now, or why the Orioles are where they are right now, they don't fucking quit. There's not an ounce of quit on this team. No matter what inning it is, no matter how far down they are, they're not out of any game. Any game. They're not out of any game that they're playing. And other teams know it. Unless you blow them off the field, you might lose. And even if you've got a massive lead, the shit ain't safe. Because they're still coming. They've got I don't know how many come from behind wins this year, or extra inning wins. That's the sign of a special fucking team. Okay? I don't know if at the end of the season they're going to make the playoffs. I don't know whether they're going to go for a run in the playoffs. There's no telling what's going to happen between now and October. But this is the most fun season that I've seen in this town. Seeing the fan base here fired up like they have been. It's been a long time since I've seen that. And it's fun. So, no matter what happens, this team has put together a hell of a season. And for all the young talent they've had come up this year, with Colton Cowser, Jordan Westberg, Joseph Ortiz, and all that, Grayson Rodriguez, there's more in the pipeline ready to come up. The number one prospect in all of baseball is currently in Bowie. And he started the year in rookie ball. He's 19 years old. There's a strong possibility that Jackson Holliday could be in Norfolk by the end of this season. If he keeps playing like he's playing. And again, he's 19 years old. We just drafted him out of high school last year. And he started in rookie ball in Delmarva. He went to Delmarva. He took the cover out the ball, hit the cover out the ball there. They put him at Aberdeen. He hit the cover out the ball there. They just put him in Norfolk or Bowie last week or like a couple weeks ago. And currently he's hitting the cover out the ball there too. So, I mean, there's literally, this kid could be at AAA a year into his professional career. That's scary. And they just drafted probably one of the fastest players in the draft last week in Enrique Bradfield Jr. out of Vanderbilt. People are worried about his bat, but he gets on base, and once he's on base, it's on. Like, he steals bases like Ricky Henderson. Like, legit. Like, he's a nightmare on the base paths. They draft guys who can hit. They draft pitchers who get strikeouts. The GM, Mike Elias, his assistant GM, Sig Medhall, and their entire front office, they've built something in the minor leagues from the ground up. And that's not even counting the fact that they finally started doing international scouting. They've got players coming out of the Dominican and their developmental thing down there, too. That they're signing guys now. And it's like, oh, shit. They're the top farm system in baseball. And they have been the past couple years. It's because they draft well. And they're developing guys who can hit. And they're bringing up pitchers who strike motherfuckers out. Their numbers may not always be like gaudy, like, oh, he's got a 1 point whatever ERA. But they strike people out when they get when they come in a game. They just get strikeouts. It doesn't have to be pretty. If they're not getting on base or they're swinging and missing everything, that's what matters. Or they're getting a ton of ground balls. Or something like that. You know, this is how you win. Defense and pitching. And the defense has been good. So, that's kind of what's going on. The Orioles kept doing what they needed to do on the field and in the front office. That's why they're in first place right now. That's why they're one of the most dangerous teams in baseball right now. And that's why they're going to be one of the most dangerous teams in baseball for some time. A team with the second best record in baseball didn't do it by a fucking fluke. You don't fluke your way to the second best record in baseball behind the Braves and the best record in the American League. That's not a fluke. That's because you're good. It's time for people to realize that the Baltimore Orioles are a legitimate contender. It's not a fluke. They're for real. And if you take them lightly, they're probably going to kick your ass. They're not spending a ton of money. You don't have to when you draft well and develop players. I mean, you got to pay those guys down the road, and they're going to do that. I have no doubt about that. But you got to look at it from that standpoint. Not every team has money like the Yankees or the Mets or the Dodgers or the Red Sox or like your big market teams. Some teams got to do it different. It's the teams that do it different that are good at it that are successful. The Orioles are one of those teams. They finally got it right. And all the struggle is finally paying off. At least for the fans. Whether it holds up, who knows? There's no telling what happens in baseball. That's why you play the game. But I got my money on them more often than not. And this year I've been proven right more often than not. So, with that all said, sorry I was a day late with this video. Hope that this has been worthwhile. Hope you enjoy it. If you like what you're seeing here, like and share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Peace.